What's up, guys? My name is Jerry, and today we're going to be talking about how Zion Williamson is in the best shape of his basketball career, and we're going to jump right into the video. Now, the next NBA season is literally in less than a month, and a couple of days ago we just had the NBA Media Day. And as I was watching the NBA Media Day, the biggest takeaway that I had from all these cool pictures that the NBA was taking, when I saw the Pelicans and they posted their pictures of Zion Williamson, he seems to be in the best shape of his NBA career, and I think this means so many great things for the New Orleans Pelicans. And I think number one, I think this might be a great way to establish some culture. Now let me tell you guys what I mean when I say this is going to establish some great culture for the New Orleans Pelicans as an organization and as a basketball team. When we take a look at Zion Williamson, he is the face of the franchise, and he is the player that the Pelicans want to build around for the next 8 to 10 years. Now the Pelicans, they got Zion Williamson from the 2019 NBA draft. He was the #1 overall pick, and I'm pretty sure all the New Orleans Pelicans fans, they know it all hasn't been peaches and cream with Zion Williamson. There has been a few concerning bumps in the road, like number one, his health. Zion Williamson, he has not played that many ball games since he's been a member of the NBA. And number two, and this one is for me personally, I don't know if New Orleans Pelicans fans felt like this, but for a minute I questioned the commitment of Zion Williamson to the New Orleans Pelicans, just because when he went down with his injuries, there was a point where he stopped rehabbing with the team and he decided to rehab independently, and then he wasn't showing up to the ball games, being on the sidelines cheering on his teammates. And that is why I questioned if Zion Williamson wanted to be a part of the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, what I will tell you guys is that over the last 6 months, really the last 2 weeks of the previous NBA season, the New Orleans Pelicans have done such a great job as an organization and a basketball team of establishing some great culture, and I think it finally reached Zion Williamson, because if we look at those last 2 weeks of basketball, the Pelicans turned the season around. Bunch of young players out there making the game of basketball look fun. They're playing hard, and then on top of those things, they end up making the playoffs. And when Zion Williamson seen this, it really turned him back on to the New Orleans Pelicans. All of a sudden, we see him rehabbing with the organization again, and then he's joining his teammates on the sidelines, cheering them on. And then when he's getting interviewed after the games, he said how he cannot wait to get back out on the court. And then in the offseason, when asked about an extension, he basically said that he's ready to sign whenever the New Orleans Pelicans are. And then boom, he signs a max contract, and it doesn't stop there. So I feel like the Pelicans, they were able to knock down one conflict by signing Zion Williamson to that max contract. I mean, he's happy and engaged and he's committed to the team, but we still have that health issue. So to help with that health issue, like we said earlier in the video, Zion might be a little overweight for his size when it comes to NBA basketball. So what did the New Orleans Pelicans do? They put a weight clause in Zion Williamson's contract. They need him to stay at a certain weight or below it. He can't go over that weight. So when we see the Pelicans on Media Day and we see these crazy pictures of Zion Williamson, he looks slimmer than ever, but he still looks very muscular. And I think this is very scary for the NBA. And I think the Pelicans did a great job. They were able to keep Zion Williamson happy, and then they were also able to help manage his health problems. So I think this was big time for the New Orleans Pelicans. So I really think it helps out with the culture and the characteristic building for this basketball team, because now they have their best player on the same page as everyone else. And before we go any further in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, a digital security company called Aura. And me personally, I've had the app for 2 days now, and it's already been super beneficial to me. As soon as I created my account and logged in, Aura notified me about 6 of my passwords being leaked
to the dark web. And what I love about this app is that it was very easy for me to identify what those 6 passwords were, and I was able to change them immediately. And the cool thing about Aura is that they don't just monitor leaked passwords, but they also keep an eye on your email, your social security number, and your credit card. They make sure none of these things are surfacing on the dark web, and if they do find anything, they send a notification to your phone or your email so you can get things taken care of as soon as possible. And what I love about this app is that it's very convenient, but it's also super cool and easy to use. And thanks to my partnership with Aura, you and your family can get a free 14-day trial to try the app for yourself and make sure that any of your information is not out on the dark web. All you have to do is go to aura.com/champion, and that link will also be in the description and in the comments section. Thank you guys for listening, and now we can get back to the video.
We talked about how Zion's body transformation is great for the culture of the New Orleans Pelicans as an organization, as a fan base, and as a basketball team. So now we're going to talk about how it's really going to affect Zion Williamson out on the basketball court. Now I don't see any changes in his playing style, but when we look at his new his body transformation, it's kind of weird because he looks slim, but he still looks toned and he still looks very powerful. So I don't expect to see a change of playing style from Zion Williamson, but I think it's really going to help him. Most importantly, going to stay healthier. With all the jumping that he does, it's not going to be so much wear and tear on his lower body. And then number 2, I think he's going to have much better stamina and endurance. So I think those 2 things right there are very important. But in terms of style of play, I don't think that's really going to change too much. I know he might be a little bit quicker off his feet, and that's going to make him even more dangerous on the offensive side of the ball. And when it comes to his skill set, there's not much that I can tell you guys that you don't already know. One thing though that I personally think on the offensive side of the ball, I think Zion Williamson is severely underrated, and it's not really nobody's fault, because when you have a guy that dunks the basketball like he does, how high he gets up there, and then you mix that in with the power, sometimes that's all you can think about when you see Zion Williamson. But he is so much more than that, and what stands out to me is his ability to put the ball on the floor and create his own shot. He has a great handle on the basketball, and then he has some of the best footwork in the NBA. His quick first step is very lethal, and no center, no big in the NBA can stay in front of him. So they have trouble guarding him on the perimeter, and then it just throws another problem out there, because if you try to throw a smaller player out on him on the perimeter to cut him off to getting to the rim, he's just gonna take that player down to the block, and as Shaq would say, that's barbecue chicken. So Zion Williamson, he's one of those players that just has a crazy impact on the game, and it's gonna take all 10 eyes on the defensive side of the ball to prevent him from putting the basketball in the hoop. So Zion Williamson, as far as it goes on the basketball court, I think this body transformation is going to help him stay healthier, and it's also going to help with his stamina and endurance. So with the New Orleans Pelicans getting Zion Williamson healthy, but not only healthy, but also in shape, I think this makes the New Orleans Pelicans a much more dangerous basketball team. And after what I've seen from last season, that second half of the season, the way those guys were able to flip the switch, make a playoff push literally after having some of the worst odds in NBA history to make it, they defy the odds and get to the playoffs. I feel like their only question mark was Zion Williamson. Was he going to commit long term? Was the Pelicans going to be able to get him healthy? Was he going to be able to drop some of that additional weight? And all of those questions have been answered. So now I feel like the New Orleans Pelicans and Zion Williamson going into next season, they're going to get a clean slate. And not only that, I think they're going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the NBA, and I kid you guys not, I could see this team getting to the Western Conference Finals and maybe even the NBA Finals if everything goes right. And my biggest reason for saying this is definitely not the return of Zion Williamson, but just what the Pelicans have as a unit. What I saw from these guys, all the way from Brandon Ingram down to Jose Alvarado, they have some quality star players on this team, and then they also have some role players. And let me tell you guys about Brandon Ingram. He might emerge as an All-NBA player next season. I think he's definitely going to make the All-Star game, because last year was his first time in the NBA playoffs, and I feel like this is how you see what an NBA player, what they're really working with. How do they respond in the playoffs? Do they elevate their game, or does their game stay the same, or does it kind of decline? And what I seen from Brandon Ingram, just watching that game with my eyes, if I didn't look at the numbers and look at the stat sheet, Brandon Ingram, he looked like the best player out there on the court. He was getting to his spots and he was just looking unstoppable. So I think Brandon Ingram, he showed us that first step of ascension, and I think he's going to be a great basketball player next season. And then also they still have CJ McCollum, who they just gave that extension to, and I really love that move because I think he's going to balance everything out on this offense with his perimeter play. Before he came to the Pelicans last season, they didn't really have no guy that could operate the pick and roll, operate in isolation, or consistently shoot that three ball. So they were able to find one player to bring all of those things to the table, and I can't wait to see him and Zion Williamson in pick and roll situations. That's going to be so fun to watch. And then they literally had one of the biggest draft steals in NBA history with Herb Jones. Herb Jones came in as a rookie last season, putting the defensive burdens on his shoulder each and every night. Nobody guarded the best player on the opposing team more than Herb Jones last season. It didn't matter if it was the center, the point guard, or the small forward. If you were the best player on the opposing team, Herb Jones was gonna guard you. So they have a defensive enforcer, and they just have so many quality role players. Jose Alvarado, he brings great energy to the game of basketball. You also have Jonas Valanciunas, who's a low post threat. Trey Murphy, who I like a lot. They have the rookie Dyson Daniels. So the Pelicans, everything is looking great for them right now. They have their best player back on track, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with next season. But that's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below what you think about the Zion Williamson body transformation, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's Kurt.